Welcome to Vialet Studio, where Vialet and her guests share stories of their passions, inspirations, and spiritual journeys. Vialet creates a sacred and fun space for individuals to be able to share information about themselves, their work, and their community. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Vialet. Vialet Rayne.
Wow, welcome to Vialet Studio. I'm so excited today. I have Bernadette King, which I absolutely love and adore, that created the ARC deck and talks about animal spirit guides and all that, brings clarity to so many things. I'm so appreciative to have her as what I would call a friend. We constantly watch each other. So I love that. So Bernadette, welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you. It is such an honor. And I'm a fangirl of yours and have been for a long time. You guys just do the most amazing work out of your center, and you do such an amazing job as a practitioner. I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to be on your show. So thank you very, very much. And hey, everybody. Hey, all of Violet's peeps.
I love that. I love that. And we're trying to get her to the center here in Denver. And whenever I travel to Florida, even the last time I went, I looked to see how far she was because I was going to go see her if I could. And she was a little further than I was. I was in Sanibel and she was way up in northern Florida. And I'm like, I don't know how I can pull that off yet. So
I'm up here with all the corn, the cows and the pigs and the horses. And I'm out in country land, girl. I'm a farm girl. Listen, I got all dolled up for this interview. Normally I'd be in a flannel shirt and, have a mug of coffee and be like, hey, like all of us country girls do. So, but yeah, I spruced up just for your people and you.
I love it. I love it. You look so beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Talk to us a little bit about your spiritual journey. What got you to this point of what you do today and what you create?
Oh, wow. Well, just in a nutshell, I just didn't know anything about metaphysics or, this side of the spiritual realm, with angels and animal spirits and psychic and, everything that fits into metaphysics, right? And some people do consider that spiritual. It is a path that I consider spiritual, but metaphysics and spirituality really are different things. But I didn't have any of that growing up at all. And then in 97, my mom was killed. And it just spun me. It really spun me. I'm a triple Scorpio. So when I feel things, until I learned how to work with those energies and what all those emotions and, that kind of thing were all about, what felt like grief for someone else made me go, I don't want to live anymore. What felt like joy for somebody else, it would be like my feet were never touching the ground, and I think for all of I've got to believe that everybody that follows you is an empath and psychic and clairvoyant and, all that stuff. So everybody can identify with the sensitivity. Where I'm going with that is during that spinning for about a year, I went to every church. I went to just everything I could find to try to heal the pain, not knowing that's what I was trying to do. But I'm a pretty stubborn person. I just was not willing to believe. My mom was there one day and gone the next, and she just ceased to exist. So finally one day a friend of mine said, hey, why don't you go to a medium? And I'm like, what is that? And she told me, and I was like, you believe all that stuff? And she was like, yes, as a matter of fact, I do. And I'm like, all right, well, you know what? Let's have a couple drinks and at least it'll be fun. So yeah. So the first person I went to told me things she could not ever possibly have known. For instance, my mother had always wanted to take painting lessons to be able to paint. She would watch Bob, whatever that guy's name was, the famous painter on the PBS station, but she never had the time and we could never afford it because I grew up in poverty. So when this lady told me that my mom had finally gotten her house that she always wanted at the beach, which is where my mom always wanted to live, she was also a Scorpio, and that she was just creating the most beautiful paintings and just giving them away to people, I thought they were going to have to call the paramedics, and it changed my life in that instant. And so I asked her a few more questions, and then she looked at me and she said, listen, she said, one day you're going to be a really well-known psychic medium. And I said, okay, this is pretty believable up till then. Thank you very much. Here's your $50, bye. And as things progressed, I did take a psychic mediumship development class that just a few years after that. And with the happenings that happened in my very first class, the teacher pulled me aside and she said, we really need to talk. And she laid it all out for me, what this was all about, what really happened to me. Because I went in, not being disrespectful to anybody, but still not so much a believer, but okay, well, let's see. And that was it, man. I'd never had anything happen to me like that. I'd never meditated before. I didn't know what channeling was. And when she handed everybody in the class, she walked us through a meditation. She handed everybody an item, which is psychometry. She didn't give it a name. I didn't know what it was. And that was it, man. I just instantly started bawling and sobbing and spitting out these words and sentences. And I was freaked out at one, there was a side of my brain that was still in this world, and I was freaked out, like, what is going on with me? And then the other part of my world that was in theta state, that was on the other side, was just channeling all this stuff. And it stopped after a few minutes. And when I could get control of myself, I looked around and everybody in class was just looking at me. They were immobilized. They were white as a ghost, slack-jawed. And the teacher was just looking at me like that. And she asked me, she said, are you okay to stay till the end of class? And I'm like, yeah. And she walked me through the whole thing. I'd never been in an altered state of mind. I didn't know. But basically what happened was she had handed me a trinket box of her husband's mom, who had died the year before. And one of the things I kept saying was, she's going to be here this weekend for the celebration. She's going to be here. She wants to thank you very much for the theme. I was even able to tell her the theme of the party, blah, 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 blah. Not me, but, the mom that came through. And I was in such a state of shock that I had my assistant clear all of my appointments for the week. And I simply took the week to think. And at the end of the week, I came to her and I said, I've decided that I'm going to sell my business and I want to be a full-time psychic medium, because I know what this has done for me. And I know that other people experience this kind of grief and loss and pain. And I know it's what I'm supposed to do. As sure as I've known everything I was supposed to do, I know this is what I'm supposed to do. And here we are. So that's how it happened. It was really bizarre.
Well, and I think all of us have our own personal stories. We either fight it or we step in, or we drag our feet about it, right? I can't do this. I'm not supposed to do this. And spirit doesn't give up on us. That's for sure.
Not at all.
They keep pushing it in front of us and they keep nudging us a little forward, right?
Right.
And I love the stories. So tell us about the Ark, because the Ark is your deck. And we carry it in the store. We've sold so many of those decks.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
So many of those decks. Tell us about your journey with the Ark.
Well, when I decided what I wanted to do, I immediately turned my attention to evidential mediumship. And what that means, it started in the Spiritualist National Church, and their teachings really, really teach that the medium be at a really high level, where you work in tandem with the other side to give you very specific evidence that will support the message that you get from whatever, loved one it is that's crossed over. And from the very beginning, I got messages from animals, because I grew up in the South, and I was socially just unbelievably shy and awkward as a kid. And so, and we lived so far out in the country because that's all we could afford, a literal trailer in the middle of the woods, no joke. I'm one of those people, and much better for it, might I add. And so that's what I turned my attention to. And so I did platform mediumship for a lot of years, and psychic. And when I'd been in it for a while and discovered tarot, I was like, oh my God. And because I love art, and I just went, and symbolism and, hidden messages and all that. I just went crazy learning tarot. And then I eventually had a partnership in a small metaphysical store here in Gainesville, where I live. And I really focused on tarot, psychic mediumship. And then one day, and I'd done animal communication when it came up in readings, but didn't identify myself as an animal communicator. So then one day I walked out of my bedroom in the morning and down my hallway to find my hallway was filled with animals, because something that I have just gone public with this year is the fact that I do get visions. And for some people, they're cool saying that. But for me, I'm like, you know what, if you tell somebody that, they, you know, they're like, is she having a psychotic break? Does she need to be Baker acted? You know, in the mainstream world, that's just not, just don't say that. And visions for me personally, a lot of people say that they have them, but I don't know, do they? And for a vision for me is where literally everything in front of you disappears and you're in the time and the place and the situation, wherever you're in that time and place and situation, like the world around you ceases and you're in this immersive alternate reality. And that's how it happens for me. So there were animals from all over the world, from all four corners of the earth, water animals and fire animals and this animal and winged creatures. And I had already started my website, Building Beautiful Souls. And they told me I needed to start a new website that was only about them, because my biggest passion in life has always been saving animals. Anything that I could do to prevent animal cruelty, that's been my main thrust of everything in my life. So they said, it's through this vehicle, this is going to lead you, this is the first step, then there'll be other steps to take, so on and so forth, but it's going to give you the opportunity to help us and to help humans in a way they just are not being helped, and it will be extremely expansive. And I was like, I don't have time to start a new website, I don't have the knowledge. And they were like, figure it out. So I did. And within a year of putting that site up, it was number 1 and 2 in the search engines for all kinds of things having to do with animal symbolism. And that is a miracle in and of itself that they clearly drove forward, because it doesn't happen that way. Generally, you start a new website, you got to wait a few years before you rank. And there's a lot of different things that go into that, that kind of thing. So that happened. And then they showed up again the second time when I was supposed to do the arc. And my argument to them was, I'm not an artist. And they were like, find one. And I'm like, they're like, we'll put you in touch with the perfect one. And so they did. And the arc was born. And we blew out of 5,000 copies within 10 months. I ordered another few thousand, and then I ordered another 5,000. And this is all within 2 years of the arc being, in the marketplace. Last year, we were very, very fortunate. The arc made history. It won Product of the Year at the Cover Awards. It was Tarot Deck of the Year. The accompanying website, What is My Spirit Animal, was Blog and Media Product of the Year, best blog of the year at the forgive me, age. At the Carta Awards, the arc was Tarot Deck of the Year. I was named Best Aspiring Author of the Year, best book accompanying a tarot deck. Forgive me, I think there was one other thing in there, but no other deck in history has ever swept both awards, and not at those levels. So it's not because of me, and I'm not tooting my own horn. What I am saying is the animals were right, and more people are becoming more conscious and aware of animals at a much deeper level. And the end result of that is that increased connectivity in terms of relationship. I get emails every day, I've always loved animals, but because of your deck, I started donating this time, or I donated this money, or I rescued, or I'm fostering, or whatever. And that's, it's I don't know, I'm going to start crying here in a minute. It's just such a gift to be trusted by the animal world with that stewardship or shepherding in a way. And sorry, it's really hot here in Florida. Our humidity level is just ridiculous. And for some reason lately, when I talk about the animals, it instantly puts me into mediumship, and I'm like, oh my God, am I getting messages for Violet already? But anyway, yeah, so forgive me, because it is crazy hot here and my air is cranked down to 70, but it's raining today. But anyway, so yeah, so that's kind of how it all unfolded. And so right now I am upping an online school that has only to do with metaphysics, where there'll be teachers from all around the globe. and it's specifically donated to, or specifically geared to metaphysics, not necessarily so much spirituality, but the practice of and the learning of metaphysics at all of its levels, crystal work and Reiki and, you know, tarot reading and spirit animal work and animal communication, psychic mediumship development, that kind of thing. And we just wrapped up the book, the #1 resource of all time for everything having to do with spirit, totem, and power animals. It's a 702-page book. It is meant to be the definitive textbook for this kind of work, as the animal allies explained it to me, because they introduced a new system of, well, it's new, but it's ancient, if that makes sense, of working with their energies and their medicine to achieve really any kind of, you know, future telling or healing, or, you know, really anything that has to do with being a reader, being an intuitive, an empath, an energetic healer, that kind of thing. And there are 300 animals in there with complete descriptions of their symbolism and their meaning as spirit, totem, and power animals. And there's all kinds of information in there about the directions and the elements, and working with sigils and ceremony and ritual. And there just has never been another work like it. And unless somebody else wants to spend 2 years putting together a 702-page book, there probably won't be, but we're done with that. We're just putting the last designs in. It goes to print by the end of September. Not true, the middle of September. And then we've already started into what the next book is about. That's strangely enough already half written. And there's a rollout plan for 5 years after this, that each year a deck that can be interchangeable and work in tandem with the arc is coming out. So each will have a different subject matter. So if you're, you know, you want to use the arc as just straight up tarot, you can do that. If you want to work with the arc and the animals in the arc for healing purposes or any other kind of purpose, you don't have to, you know anything about tarot. You don't have to work with the cards in tarot. They can be oracle cards, healing cards. And so with these decks that are coming out, because of the themes, if you, let's say that you are reading for yourself or a friend, family, client, and they've got a specific thing that they want to know about, you'll be able to look at these expansion packs and go, oh, well, let me blend my own deck together to get further clarity on XYZ. And there's never, ever been anything like that. But it's a really expansive system that would never, ever be complete because, okay, so, you know, over time, there are 300 animals in this book, but there are millions of animals and animal species in the world, and like literally millions. I mean, even if you just talk about insects or birds. And so there'll never be the opportunity to get them all, but it's a complete enough work, and it will be added to over the coming years so that it can include as many critters as possible. And of course, I have my website, and we up new content. Whatismyspiritanimal.com. We up new content on that all the time. And so over the span of my lifetime, I reckon there'll be, you know, I hope maybe 5,000 or 6,000 different kinds of animals on there. Animals people have never heard of. I learn about new animals and animal species every day. And they all want to work with us. They all want to support us, and they want us to support them and do what nature intended, which is for everybody to thrive and work in tandem with each other. So there you go.
I love it. I love it. And I'm so excited. I look forward to seeing your book and seeing what it's about, because I love your arc. I love the stuff that you've created. I love your website. I love how much information's on there, because it is just incredible what's on that website. And I go back and look at it all the time as a reference tool.
Wow.
Because it's an amazing reference. If you're out there looking for something or need information, it's definitely a place to go to find that. So I love that you've created that, and that tool's available to us. And what's cool is a lot of that information is free. All you have to do is search for it to find it, which is also amazing, because I've seen a lot of spiritual leaders in this day that it's membership. You got to have a membership to get access to a lot of this stuff. And you and I very similar in that we offer a lot of stuff for people to absorb and get for free. There's no charge to tap in and find that information, because I want to be a resource.
Well, I don't know if you're referring to me as a spiritual leader, but I don't think of myself that way. But it's interesting you mentioned memberships, because I actually am rolling out a membership program, and here's why. It is impossible to get to everybody, and everybody wants individual attention, which I would love to give them, but it's not possible. And I was told to create the membership for two reasons. One is when folks, and the information on my site is free, but it costs money and time to create the art, to research the articles, because the articles that we put out about, the animals, they're very heavily researched through all cultures. Anywhere that we can find the information, there will be information from the Asian culture, this culture, that culture, the American culture, the whatever. And then I also say what the animals have told me personally. So that being said, people that are really serious, that really do want to commit the time to the learning and the growth, are more likely to, pay $10 a month to be part of a membership. And I want to work with the people who are really in it for the service that they'll be able to offer to the animal world, which includes humans. And the other thing is, I donate as much as I can possibly put together to charities that prevent animal cruelty, which is why I ran my second Kickstarter. Well, my first Kickstarter was run in April, but I didn't announce it at that time. That one of the reasons I ran it then is it's Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Month. But I did announce it this time for the Kickstarter, that the energy was, for me to be able to keep my business thriving and growing, so that I could continue to make those donations and even grow them further. So it gives me a better base. And I know people in the metaphysical business are like, oh, we don't talk about money, we're really uncomfortable. Okay, but that, I don't know what service that does people, because you're a reader, Violet, how many people come to you about financial matters? It's half your clientele, I gotta believe, right? Relationship and money. And so by approaching it in a natural, upfront way, which is the animal way, hey, let's just have this conversation. Let's sniff each other and touch noses and see what's going on. That's the other reason that I'm doing it. However, I am enjoined with you in that the people that are doing it, and it becomes pretty clear who is giving more value than what they're charging, and who's just doing it as a way to monetize or whatever. So, but I will always keep it where the bulk of what I give is free, which is why I run ads on my site. I get emails sometimes, oh, the ads, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, I've got to be able to support it financially somehow. Servers cost money, and art costs money, and this costs money. Maybe a little more than you wanted to know, but there's timing to this, because I've been having this very same conversation with other people about memberships and our feelings about it, and it's been a big buzz topic in my circle of friends. And I wonder if maybe you're bringing it up like that is not maybe also for you to take a look at some point, if I may. You didn't ask my opinion, but so please forgive me if I've overstepped my boundaries. But
no, I've had people probably for 3 years now recommend it, and I've been like, no, I don't really want to do that. And I've joined some memberships, kind of testing the ground on, do I really utilize it? Do I really get enough out of it? Does it make sense? So like you, I've been playing with it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are doing it. Mm-hmm. But I I still don't know. The jury's still out for me. And so, you know, a lot of the stuff that I create, like all the videos, like my YouTube channel is slam packed with videos, and I write articles every week. And so our blogs are heavily packed, and all that is juicy information, right? It's
juicy.
really, yeah, it's really got value. And like you, I research it, I channel it. A lot of that stuff comes out, and it does take time. Editing videos, people don't realize what it takes to edit videos, to post them, to download them, to upload them, to get them right, to make sure the sound's right, the lighting's right. I mean, all that stuff, there's a lot of stuff that goes into doing that. And
for sure.
Right. And, you know, I have a team that helps me, but I currently still edit all the videos. I still do all the uploading and loading. I still work on all that myself, and my website, and manage the center, and see clients and write books. So I still do all that stuff.
You're
myself.
Superwoman. Holy cow.
People say, do you sleep, Vialet? Do you sleep? No, I have to break it up. Okay, this 4 hours is the website. This 4 hours is videos. This, you know, so
You know what's so weird about this? I feel like I'm one of my clients. It's so weird. You should say that. And I'm like, and yet, isn't that why you came to a psychic shamanic journey? Yeah. So the conversation has taken a turn from spirit, totem, power animals, and that kind of thing to business. But here's why I think that happened. I feel like people like you and me that are successful business people, I mean, you could call it that, are supposed to be way showers for other people that it can be done and they can do it too. And here's why. In my personal experience so far, I'm watching a trend go on where more people than ever are being called to do this work in some form or fashion, but they're terrified. They can't leave their day jobs because they don't know how to make a living or get an income, you know, in this business. And I've got people coming out of the woodwork asking me, and I'm putting together a business class right now just because over the last 3 years, maybe 4, I've had so many people go, hey, could I hire you as a consultant to teach me XYZ, XYZ? No, that's not what I do. But I know that I'm supposed to do everything in my power to uplift and help elevate people who will, with an understanding of and a clear vision of, oh, that's how I would do it, transition from things that they absolutely deplore doing into something that they really in their spirit know they're being called to do, because then it's one more person out in the world who's opening the consciousness of the rest of the world. And so you know, my gosh, you and your daughter, you guys are like the poster children for great, strong business women. And I wonder if maybe you might think about for your own clientele, again, you didn't ask my opinion. I hope I'm not overstepping my boundaries, but I just think what you all have to show them and tell them and share could be such a gift. And it could be expansive in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Because don't you think it's kind of weird the turn this conversation has taken?
No, and we do that. Actually, I do consult with business owners to help them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Centers. So I've actually helped people open centers. But I also think the more of us that stand in the light, the animals benefit. The more of us that step into our spirituality, into helping the world, we're raising the vibration, and they're calling us more and more to do that, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I get the same thing. Excuse me. You can tell allergy season.
Oh gosh. Well, look at me. I'm sweating all over the place. The humidity here is like it's like 1,000%. Yeah.
You know, more and more people are like, well, I can't do this. I can't make a living at this. I can't leave my day job to do this. No, that's not true. People are doing it all over and being successful. Yes, you may not be able to do it as easily hanging a shingle all by yourself, but that's why we have the center, because you have this community of support that we help each other. And they call my center the cocoon because people come in, they cocoon, and then they fly. They come in and learn how to start it, how to kickstart it, how to get it up and going. And then they're ready to go out and do their own thing and hang their shingle. And that's kind of how we've set it up. But I'm like you, I feel like all of us are getting pushed more and more and more to step into our truth.
Yeah.
To step into what makes us happy, to step into providing something to the world that the world needs right now. It is always needed, but it feels like it needs it more. And I think we're getting nudged a lot more, not only from the animals, but our guides, our angels, everything on the planet is trying to get us to push. COVID was a time for us to shift our perspectives, to shift how we do things, to change reality. And we're still being pushed because some of us, we're human and we don't like change so much. So we're like digging our heels in going, no, I want it just the way it was. Well, it needs to change. And that's not always easy for us humans in these bodies to be able to do that. And you have to trust and you have to know that the animals have us, the angels have us, our guides have us, our master teachers have us, our guardians have us. It's time to trust. And as fearful as it is, you just got to close your eyes. As I tell my tribe, close your eyes and walk through the storm because there's sunshine on the other side. You just got to walk through the storm.
Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going. So that's what I tell my tribe all the time. I'm like, well, you're right about in the center of hell. So let's see if we can get you over, and get you to the finish line. But, trust is the word. And it is one of the greatest things that animals teach us is to sit with our own most natural self. And Vialet, my heart aches every day for people who have always been just separated from their most natural self because societal pressure, what they believe that people believe about them, maybe parental or, environmental nurturing somehow. They aren't good enough. They're weird. They're this, they're that, they're blah, 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 blah. And, animals can really teach us that our natural self is the most powerful self, period. End of story. And I can't, grateful isn't even a word anymore. I don't even have a word that says to watch people like, what you're doing where you cocoon them and then you watch them fly, to watch people self-actualize through this work. I just get to bear witness to miracles, true miracles every day, except for they aren't really miracles so much as they are a natural progression of what the human spirit was really designed to be like and to do. And, I don't know you well. I do consider us friends and I'm so grateful for that. But I don't know you well, but my sense of you is that you've always been able to live your truth. And that if at one time you weren't, like at one time I wasn't, I was so shy and so socially awkward that I not only did I not have the comfortability to be myself, I was always trying to figure out how to fit in and be part of the crowd and whatever. What a disaster that was. And the minute I just became Bernadette, oh my God, my life I started to live in paradise. And people like you've just always, that I know of, you've just always been, you're just Vialet. And it's such a light. It's such a beacon of light for other people, especially women, that are wanting to break out of relationships of any kind that no longer serve or who are looking. Over the last, let me just say this, this is crazy. Since I started my real deep dive with the animal work, the volume of moms that I've had come to me, they all want to show their children a better way. Now that's been the condition of moms for, I'm sure, centuries and centuries, but these moms are different. They're only interested in their children being the best version of who they really are. And I hear it every week. I just want to empower my child to be who they really are. I want to help them discover who they really are. It took me a little while to catch on to it was a thing, but once I realized it was a thing, my commitment to my work, I didn't think it could get any deeper, but man, that's it. I would do, if I was in a coma, from the other side, I will do this work, because it is creating, people wail and they moan about millennials, and let's face it, there's some stuff to wail and moan about them about, although it's our generation's fault. But I'll tell you the one thing, they're very socially conscious, and they're very earth conscious. And what's to argue with that? You know what I mean?
They really are. They really
Yeah.
are.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
I see that in my grandchildren, that is really important to them. And
Yeah.
hey, I give them kudos, because we sure didn't do a good job of that. Keep waving that flag and keep pushing that forward, and we'll help you push it forward, because it's time, right? It's time. It's time for us to look at those things. And I think that's really wonderful that they're doing that. I give them all the support I can to see that happen,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Right? Because we didn't do such a great job, and they're really trying. And I love that about that generation, right? One of the things that you talked about is there's a lot of people out in the world, unfortunately, that don't know how they've not experienced love and joy and happiness in their life. And they're supposed to. And we're supposed to be abundant, joyful, and happy. Does
And
that
healthy.
mean we have no bumps in the road? No, it doesn't work that way. That's how we grow. It's how we evolve. It's how we expand. It's not the golden road, but we create our own lives. And I feel like the animal kingdom looks at us sometimes and shakes their head, right? It's like, come on, people. It's
Yeah.
not supposed to be this way.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be this way.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to be happy and joyful and all that stuff. And, it's just shifting people's perspective in this world, that you're supposed to create that. So how do you get down and start creating that? Within yourself? It starts within you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Everything does.
and these people that work for jobs they hate, or in relationships that don't make them happy, or accepting what they've been told and they haven't stepped into their truth. Oh my goodness, my heart goes out to them, because it's not how it's supposed to be, right?
Yep.
And I love to see people turn that corner and find that in their life. And that's when my work really feels good, when I can do that for people and they find their own light, because we all have our own light to shine.
And as I said, I grew up in poverty, like abject poverty. And I owe everything to my mom, everything, because she always said, this is how we live today because of circumstances. And my mom worked 4 jobs. I mean, there wasn't, she worked as hard as she could and did the best that she knew to do. But she always said, if you're willing to roll up your shirt sleeves and work hard, you can have anything you want. And I mean anything. And I believed her. And so my sister and I have been able to break the cycle of poverty in our family. And not all people have the luxury of growing up in a family or with their influencers who encourage them to follow what they believe their calling is. And, listen, sometimes people have, dreams that aren't, you don't know why they're having them. They may or may not be attainable in this lifetime, but more often than not, I find that people had a sense of who they wanted to be when they were very, very young. And when they act counter to that, it's cataclysmic for them and their families. But, I live in Gainesville, Florida, so I have a lot of university students for clients. The incident the incidents, just the sheer number of kids that have come to me in the past few years that have gotten their degrees in whatever, and come to me absolutely terrified. Some of them, like, to the point where they don't want to live in this world anymore because they're terrified of what their family is going to say. They've paid all this money to get all these degrees and snatch that degree, and just once they could breathe, once they had the prize, like this is all they were focused on, once they snatch that degree and they take a deep breath, they fall right apart because they do not want to do what they got their degree in, and they're terrified. And you know, I've been in this town for almost my whole life, and I would see a couple of those a year, but I'm talking dozens in a year. There's a huge shift going on, and I'm fortunate enough to have a bird's eye view of that, because in terms of data, of collecting information, I have that kind of clientele. And I do several events a year at the university where I'll read 100 kids in a night. They each get like 3 minutes during Halloween and whatever. And I bring like 4 other psychics with me, because these kids line up by the hundreds to get read. And I remember the year before COVID, we did that event. And then of course we all go to breakfast afterwards and, you know, kick up our heels and have a couple drinks and have some fun. And, you know, the group of professionals that I work with were very ethical. We do not talk about readings one person to the other, even an event like that. But one of the gals said, just out of curiosity, did anybody else get a bunch of students that were like either super close to getting their degree, like they had one more semester to go, or they were just waiting on graduation, or had just gotten their degree and are just in a spin because they don't want to do what they got their degree in? And we all looked at each other and went, oh my gosh. And we didn't talk about the readings in particular, and certainly we didn't keep track of it. We couldn't show you the hard numbers, but I bet between the 4 of us, there were like 200 kids that we talked to that had something like that going on. That's a lot of kids in one evening, a lot. And I will tell you, the greater preponderance of children that come, or young adults that come to that, are kids from India and kids from Asia, China and Japan in particular. And they, you know, their cultures are very famous for, you do what your parents tell you to do. But this is not just for American kids. This is not just for US kids. These are children all over the world are experiencing this wake-up call. And, you know, the world is shifting radically. And I'm like, you know, popcorn and a beer. I'm like, how did I come into this lifetime to get to watch this cool show, you know? And yeah, it's just been pretty cool. So anyway, not to get off on a tangent, but it sounds to me like you're experiencing much the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all experiencing it. I love these conversations, Bernadette. I love these. So what if somebody wanted to connect with you and have a session or take a class or learn more, what's the best way to do that? What are you offering these days? What do you got going on?
Well, they just have to think it, and I know it. No, I'm teasing. I as psychic as I am, I do use an old-fashioned thing called the telephone. So they can call me at my office number, 415-871-5322. They could email me, Bernadette at buildingbeautifulsouls.com. These days I read, so any kind of reading, if somebody wants a tarot reading, or they want spirit, totem, and power animals, or mediumship, or psychic work, I do all of those. And a lot of my readings are those things combined. And that's, you know, that's what I'm offering in terms of services like that. Now, having said that, I am focused very heavily this year on classes. And the other thing is I am putting together, it'll take me a few more weeks, but I'm starting to do medicine wheel readings. I've just never seen anything like it. And I had one 2 years ago with the most amazing lady from England, Maureen Murnan. She's been a teacher at the Arthur Findlay College for decades. And I'd never had a medicine wheel reading. It changed my life. It changed my life. It elevated me as a reader, because the reading actually comes from your own spirit. And once you see laid out right in front of you on this wheel what your own spirit is trying to tell you, that's irrefutable proof. You can try to deny it. You'd be wrong and lying to yourself, but you could try. And I was like, okay, I get it. And so I've been able to work with some of those principles and tenets inside of my reading practice. And my reading practice has shifted dramatically in that by the end of the session, the client has the answers that they wanted answers, whether they were the answers they wanted to hear or not. That's always a toss-up, but they have a much deeper sense that the answers were what really is supposed to be, what really are the choices they're supposed to make, what will be best for them in all ways. And sometimes being best for you means the tower card, everything's got to come crashing down before you can rise again. But if people know that, then they can better, forewarned is forearmed. Let me just leave it that way. But yeah, so I'm putting the final stages of these medicine wheel readings together, and I'll be offering a half a year reading or a full year reading, like your wheel for, like, if you come to me in July, it'll be July to July. If you come to me in October, it'll be October to October. And I'm so excited to offer this, because I just have never seen anything like it. And I have not been able to find other practitioners that do it. They've got to be out there. I just have not been able to find any. So I can't wait to train other readers to do this as well, because again, the results are just crazy.
I'll take some of that training, Bernadette.
Oh my, are you kidding? Really?
Yeah, I would love that.
It's such an honor. That'd be cool. Well, it's when I was actually called to have that, I had been having all these conversations about medicine wheels. And then I was like, I wonder if people do medicine wheel readings, because there's a software out there by an astrology company that's, I can't think of their name. They're actually centered here in Gainesville, but they're an astrology software that a lot of astrologers around the world use. And somebody asked me about their medicine wheel software, and I was like, what? And I went and checked it out, and I was like, okay, this makes no sense to me, but that was at the time. And so I was like, I wonder about medicine wheel reading. So I Googled it, and I just got fixated on it. And I started calling friends, and they're like, nope, don't know. I think I heard about something like that in the 70s. I was like, I don't know, but it's a thing. And finally, it led me to Maureen, who I knew through shamanic work. And I was like, Maureen, do you know anything about medicine wheel reading? She goes, yeah, I've been giving them for 30 years. I was like, what? So I booked a medicine wheel reading with her, really just as an exploratory thing, and I had a bruise on the bottom of my chin by the time the reading was over, because I just kept being so gobsmacked. I was like this the whole time. And I'm a triple Scorpio. I'm pretty crusty. I've been around the block a few times. It's pretty hard to get me surprised about a lot. And I was like, I want to do what you do. And so I hired her privately. She consulted me privately, and we went through this. And what the cool thing I love about medicine wheel readings is there's no one way to do them. There's no one way to give them. So each practitioner can add what they want. Like, she's got a medicine wheel reading that is only about animals. She offers like 3 different kinds. And so she's got another one that's just about trees. And then there's the other, like, more collective one that's about crystals and this and that. Sorry, one of my cats. And so, hi, Georgie, say hi to Auntie Violet. So, so you can build your own system, or the subject matter around the system that's going to best suit you as a reader, and the messages that you get for your clients. It's just it is fascinating to me. And I think it's a new way of getting people to their self-actualized point, to get them through the fear, to get them through the blocks. And I can't wait I can't wait till it's all put together. It's going to be something else. So
well, I love that. And I can't wait to learn more about it. And I'd like to learn about it. I do archetype wheel readings. So it's an archetype wheel versus a medicine wheel. So I'd love to see the comparison. So in the mystery school, I teach them how to do archetype wheel readings. And so it's how it is in your archetype. So yeah, we do those. So I'd love to compare notes and kind of see what that looks like. So
yeah, that'd be
sign
cool.
me up. I want to learn more about that, Bernadette. I want to
sign me up.
Students.
Yeah, sign me up, because the archetype thing, that's also been a huge interest in the public over the last couple of years. Lots and lots of deep archetype work going on, and I just the understanding of your archetypes and your shadows and your this and your that. Man, I've had so many people say to me when they do that kind of work, I don't offer it, but they've done that. They're like, it's better than any therapy I've ever been in. And I was able to push past this fear or this block or whatever in just a few months. Whereas I've been in therapy over this for a few years, and I'm not knocking the world of professional counseling or anything like that. I'm not. What I'm saying is it's another route to get there.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. So we'll have to share notes. Cool. I know that you have a meeting coming up, and I do. I would not keep you over time. So thank you so much. It's been wonderful. We should do this more often. Because we could talk for hours.
We could. And maybe my cat will get out of my face. So, so this is my impression. This is my Charlie Chaplin impression. So
I love that. I love that. Bernadette, thank you so much for being on the show. And I look forward still to having you in Denver, where you and I can hang out for a couple days and get to share information and chat. I think it'll be amazing. I know folks at the center really wanted to see you last time we had you scheduled, and everything went kind of upside down. And we'll get you back out, and so people can meet and chat with you. And so we would love to do that.
Well, I thank you for all of your love and support. It's been one of my greatest gifts, and I appreciate it very much. And yeah, I'm totally down. So when there's no snow, I'm a Florida girl, and as miserable as I am today with the humidity and whatever, I would be more miserable in snow. So I've got to come when there's no snow. But yeah, I look forward to that time, and I thank you so much. And I will, as soon as I get everything put in place, I'll give you a ping, and we'll get together and we will compare notes on our wheels, and maybe there's something synergistic that we could do. I've never heard of an archetype wheel reading, and I'm fascinated.
Yes, absolutely. We can definitely do that. So cool. I look forward to that. Thank you everyone for watching today. We look forward to seeing you next time at Discover Your Spirit.
Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Vialet and how she can help you discover your spiritual gifts, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com and on YouTube at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. You can also send a personal message to Vialet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you really soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.
Discover connection, awaken sacredness, become empowered. Come experience a difference at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.